Welcome to the Three Kingdoms. Overview. Forsaken is a two-player card game which is set in an apocalyptic wasteland. You play the role of a survivor in this dangerous land, ruled by magic. You must fight for control of three distinct kingdoms. Each of these kingdoms has an enemy side which your opponent controls, and a friendly side which you control. Each player begins the game with a tower on their side of the kingdom. Each tower begins at 10 faith. Your goal is to reduce 2 out of 3 enemy towers to 0 faith. You will accomplish this by battling with your followers and using your God's Decree cards to smite your opponent's followers, defend your towers, and deplete your opponent's resources. Your god may even deliver a blessing that will help you for the rest of the game. Players will alternate taking turns until one of them is victorious. Altars are the key to convincing followers to join your cause in a kingdom. Each of the 5 gods in the game has their own distinct altar that can be used to play cards associated with that god. Each turn, you can build one altar in each kingdom. Each card has a devotion cost, which indicates how many altars are required to play that card from your hand. In order to do so, you must exhaust the altars signified in that card's devotion cost. The kingdom in which you pay a card's devotion cost is where its effect will happen, so you must choose where to build your altars wisely. Each god has a unique effect that you can pay 2 devotion to use once per turn. This is called channeling a god. Setup. In order to begin the game, you'll need to bring at least one deck comprised of at least 40 cards. Players can either share a deck or bring their own to the battle. You'll also need a reserve of altars and game tokens for both players to use, including a way to track each kingdom's faith. This is the suggested structure of 3 kingdoms. Each side of a kingdom can hold a maximum of 5 altars and/or temples, 3 followers, and 3 blessings. When you have the maximum of any of these in any particular kingdom, you cannot play any more of that card type in that kingdom until you free up a slot. How to begin the game. Each player starts the game by shuffling their deck. Randomly determine who will go first. The player determined to go first draws a starting hand of 4 cards from the top of their deck. The player determined to go second draws a starting hand of 5 cards. When it's your turn, you are the active player. When it is your opponent's turn, you are the inactive player. The player determined to go first begins the game as the active player and gets to take the first turn of the game, the Mulligan Phase. Starting with the player who goes first, each player may choose any number of cards from their hand that they do not want to keep, and then shuffle those cards back into their deck. Then draw that many cards from the top of the deck. Each player can mulligan only once per game. After that, you are stuck with the cards you have drawn. How to win. The goal of each player is to reduce 2 out of 3 of their opponent's towers to 0 faith, or force a player to concede a kingdom. When a tower is reduced to 0 faith, all cards in that kingdom, yours and your opponent's, fade into the past and are placed in the discard pile. When 2 of your 3 towers have been reduced to 0 faith, the game immediately ends. Altars. There are 5 different altars, 1 for each god. Altars are used to pay the costs required to play cards from your hand, activate the abilities of your followers, and channel gods. Altars are a free and unlimited resource. You don't have to do anything or play a card to gain access to them. In order to build an altar, simply place it on the bottom of your kingdom. Altars enter play refreshed. This means they can be used to provide devotion the same turn that they enter play. If you do use an altar to provide devotion, it becomes exhausted. This is important because exhausted altars cannot be used to provide devotion. You'll have to wait until your next turn when all of your cards are refreshed. Temples. When you have 5 altars in any given kingdom, that kingdom is full, and you cannot build any more altars in it. However, if you have not yet built an altar for turn, you can upgrade an altar to a temple in each of your kingdoms that have 5 altars. A temple can satisfy the devotion requirement for any god you want it to. Think of it as a wildcard resource. Devotion costs. Each card has a devotion cost. When you pay a devotion cost, you must exhaust the altars specified in the cost. A cost of 1, or any number, indicates that any altar type or temple can be used to satisfy that part of a card's devotion cost. Card types. Followers. Followers are the easiest way to reduce your opponent's towers to 0 faith, and defend your own towers from enemy followers. Followers are played in the top row of your kingdom. When you play a follower from your hand, it arrives in a kingdom refreshed. If it has any arrival effects, those happen immediately. Although refreshed followers can usually battle, a follower cannot battle on the same turn in which it arrived in a kingdom. Followers can, however, step in the way of your opponent's battling followers on the same turn they enter a kingdom as long as they're refreshed. Followers stay in play until they're forsaken. This can happen when a follower's faith is reduced to 0. A card specifically states that a follower is forsaken. A card forces you to tribute a follower. If any of those things happen, a follower is sent to the past. A follower can also be removed from a kingdom when it is repelled back to its owner's hand, or teleported or switched to a different kingdom. Zeal and Faith. A follower's zeal number refers to how much faith an enemy follower loses when it engages in battle with it, or how much faith an enemy tower loses when that follower breaches an opponent's defenses. A follower's faith number refers to how much faith they can lose before they are forsaken. Whenever a follower loses faith, you should place that many opposition tokens on that follower to indicate that its faith has been reduced. When a follower has as many or more opposition tokens on it as its faith, it is immediately forsaken. Followers do not heal back to their starting faith at the end of the turn. Faith can only be restored through cards and abilities. When followers are involved in battle with one another, they each cause the enemy follower to lose faith equal to their zeal number. Gods are just like followers, but they are much more powerful and their devotion cost must be paid in all of your remaining kingdoms instead of just the kingdom in which you're playing it. Decree cards deliver powerful one-time effects. After you play a decree and it fulfills its effect, it is placed directly into the past. Blessings stick around and deliver long-lasting and impactful effects for as long as they remain in play. Some blessings affect an entire kingdom, while others specifically target a follower of your choice. Kingdom-specific cards. When you play a card from your hand, you must decide which kingdom to play it in. You must have that card's required devotion cost refreshed in that kingdom in order to play it in that kingdom. Each card will indicate if its effect can only affect the kingdom you played it in or if it can affect any kingdom. Followers are always placed in the kingdom in which you pay for it. Channeling a god. You can only channel a god in one of your kingdoms each turn. Channeling a god doesn't require you to play any cards. In order to channel a god, all you have to do is pay 2 devotion of the god you wish to channel. Channeling can only affect the kingdom in which you pay its devotion cost. Battling is one of the easiest ways to cause the enemy tower to lose faith. In order to battle, simply announce that you are beginning a battle, and then choose which followers you want to battle with. When a follower battles, it becomes exhausted. A follower cannot battle, intercept, or use a bow ability if it is exhausted. There is no minimum or maximum on the number of followers you can battle with, and there are no restrictions on which kingdoms can battle at the same time. You may battle with one or multiple followers across one or more kingdoms. Each follower you want to be part of the same battle must be declared at the same time. You may battle with any combination of one or more followers among your kingdoms, and then battle with another combination of one or more followers. When one or more followers battle, the inactive player must decide which followers they want to intercept with their own followers, if any. If a battling follower is not intercepted, it breaches the enemy tower and then the tower loses faith equal to that follower's opposition. Intercepting. A follower may intercept as long as it is refreshed. When any number of enemy followers across any number of kingdoms are battling, you have the option to intercept as many of them as you can. Otherwise, they will breach your tower. You can only intercept an enemy follower with a friendly follower in the same kingdom. Each follower can usually only intercept one follower per battle. So if your opponent battles with multiple followers in a kingdom and you only have one refreshed follower, you'll have to choose which of those followers you want to intercept. There are 6 phases of a battle. 1. Active player declares all battlers simultaneously. 2. All battle abilities, such as Leader and Onslaught, happen in the order of the active player's choosing. 3. Inactive player declares all Interceptors simultaneously. 4. All followers involved in battle lose faith equal to their enemy's zeal number. Place opposition tokens on them equal to the faith they lost. Followers which breach the enemy tower cause that tower to lose faith equal to their current zeal. 6. If a follower has a breach ability and they are not intercepted, then their breach ability will happen at the end of battle, even if that follower had 0 zeal. The phases of the turn. There are two distinct phases of a player's turn. 1. The refresh phase. During the refresh phase of your turn, all of your cards are refreshed. Turn them back to their starting position. This means that altars and temples can once again be used to pay devotion, and that followers can once again battle, intercept, or bow. After you've refreshed your cards, draw the top card of your deck. Now you're in your main phase. Note that on your first turn of the game, you'll not draw a card during the refresh phase. 2. The main phase. During the main phase of your turn, you have the ability to take 6 distinct actions. You may perform these actions in any order, and you may alternate back and forth between different actions multiple times. 1. Build an altar or upgrade an altar to a temple in each of your kingdoms. 2. Play a card from your hand in any kingdom in which you can satisfy its devotion cost. 3. Activate an ability of one of your followers. This may cause them to bow, which will make it so they cannot battle this turn, or intercept battling followers on your opponent's turn. If you refresh a follower after it battles or bows, it can battle or bow again. 4. Channel a god. 5. Battle with any number of followers. 6. Concede any kingdom. Decisions on your opponent's turn. Players cannot take any of the 6 main phase actions while they are not the active player. The only decisions you can make on your opponent's turn. Choose what cards you want to discard or tribute when a card allows or forces you to do so. Choose how you want to intercept your opponent's battling followers with your own refreshed followers. Now you're ready to start playing Forsaken. Thanks for watching, and may the gods bless your kingdoms.